Hello, community. Nice to having you here today. And yeah, what a crazy last days. What's just happening in the market? Absolutely crazy. Today we've been talking about it, and next week will be crazy as well. So stay tuned for tomorrow because trust me, tomorrow will be a crazy day as well. So let's get started. First of all, let's talk about last week. As you maybe already saw, or this week, maybe we already saw, on the news calendar, there was not much. We had a little bit, we had the unemployment claims, which got higher, which is positive for the Fed. If we're looking at the next week, because next week will be very, very important, we get the CPI data on Tuesday, and then we get the FOMC statement on Wednesday. And maybe you already see that here. They are predicting a 5.2%. So a non-event. So the Fed is not changing at all the interest rate, which will be very, very interesting because we all know as soon as we see the pivot, we might see the crash in the market. Why? Why is it that? Because obviously the interest rates are all time the reaction of that what's happening in the market. So for example, as I all time say as an example, I'm not going if I going to a box fight, right? I'm not going before the box fight to the hospital, probably maybe to check something, but normally I going to the hospital after the box fight if I got some really bad hits, right? And this is the same situation what you can think about the federal funds rate. It's the same thing, and that's why it is super, super interesting to see what's happening on the next week. And as well, what is interesting is that we might see the CPI data going lower. And why is it like that? If we're looking at the month-to-month CPI from last year, we see on June we got the highest peak of 1.2% from month to month. And if we get now another interest rate hike to the upside, this means that we now are pretty higher than we are normally. And that's why I would be really, really careful with it because I think CPI will go lower. I think as well the Fed will talk about it. But as you see, maybe then on July, August, and the months after, we had a really low inflation. So I think on July we could see maybe another rise in CPA because the year before the inflation from month to month was pretty low at 0%. So there's a really big playground on the upside with that. So really, really interesting. If we're checking the CME watch tool, what do we see? We see 70% expecting a 0 basis point change and 29% expecting a 25 basis point change. What is my prediction? Still, in my feelings, I still think we have a 25 basis points room to the upside. I still think we have that, and it is super interesting to see if we're getting that or not. Because I still think unemployment rate very, very low. There's still room to the upside, and I think the only excuse is that the inflation in shelter went lower as well, and that's why we've been talking about that. That's why the Fed could decide to move lower or to break the rise of the interest rates. Coming to the week, we maybe already saw that the crypto was absolutely blooding, but not BTC and ETH. It was, if we look carefully on it, it was more the altcoins. If we're looking at the top tier spot volumes, you see that this volume is lowest volume, and it was as well the lowest volume since March 2019. So we have very, very low volume right now in the markets. Then as well, we saw that the SEC went against Coinbase. but not the same as the SEC went against Binance, because here they just said they are an unregistered security exchange, broker, and clearing agency. So it is still something illegal, obviously, right? Because if they don't have the papers for it, it's still illegal. But they still have all the coins. On the other hand, if we're checking on Binance, they say that they don't even have the coins anymore. And this is a completely different story. Because here they're saying that they're scamming the people, right? And this is completely different on the Coinbase thing. On the reaction on that, we already saw that Binance did something on it. Binance, from the June 13th, so after Tuesday, they paused the USD fiat channels, so you cannot pay out anymore into US dollars, which is crazy as well, because if you're the biggest crypto exchange and you cannot pay back anymore in USDs, it will hurt you a lot. You can trust me, and we could see as well maybe a shift in the exchange to other exchanges, because this is a big hurt, and maybe Binance will be only used to trade. But again, this is very important. This is just all for Binance US. But you can all times think about it, right? So if Binance US has problems and they have not the whole funds from the people, then why the normal Binance, the global Binance, don't use the same, right? So if you cheat once, you will cheat with the whole company, not just with Binance US. And especially not with Binance US. If you saw that on FTX, right, Binance US was the company which did the real work, the nice work, and the FTX Global was doing all the shit work, because there was more money and the US is more regulated. So this is very, very interesting. But now the question is, why are the whole altcoins pumping down? We saw ADA dumping 18%, Solana 18%. So the whole altcoin market went really, really low. And why is it like that? Maybe you already saw it, what the SEC was claiming, that ADA, Solana, and the altcoins are securities. So they are scared that the exchanges, right, getting off of their altcoins, so that they disable the altcoins and then they have problems to resell them in USD. So what are the people are doing, and which is as well a little bit a good sign for BTC, is that they sold their ADA, Solana, Matic, and all the altcoins, right, for US dollars and moved away the US dollars. So this is the bad thing. But the good thing is that, again, as soon as we have less altcoins, money would come back into Bitcoin back. Because if Bitcoin is the only non-security, then there's a possibility that the money which was made from the sell-off of the altcoins is coming back into BTC ETH. So this is a good thing, but this is what we could see in the next. And as well, I think because all the exchanges, if you do a dollar cost average right now in the moment, I think you need a long time horizon. But I think as well, it is not a bad thing to do dollar cost averaging on this one, because I could see a little bit of a reaction to the upside, especially in BTC and ETH. There's a possibility to go a little bit higher. So yeah. See, that was made a post as well, and he said, why is the market going up or down? No one really knows. A lot of people claim to know and can often pin it on a single, often wrong reason. In reality, there are many sellers and many buyers in the market. Everyone may have their own reasons. A few examples. False narrative. Binance covered its holdings to fiat. Fact. Binance fiat stablecoin reserve used to pay for short-term salaries or expensive decreased. Our crypto reserves increased in the past months, weekdays. Obviously, he will talk positive about his company, so I leave this open, right? And as soon as we don't have a proof, we can just say that what the SEC is saying. We cannot talk about this one. Second narrative is 1.3 billion of alts on Robinhood could be disabled, right? He made just ... No idea. You probably know more than me. I think as well, because he's saying this, he knows that it's going to do. So it's the same when he said he wants to sell his FTT token. He said it not because it is a narrative. He said it because he knows there's something coming. And it's the same situation here. Then other bans, US bans, China, Hong Kong unban. And I think the biggest thing is the greed and feed, the two emotions you need to manage in any markets. It was in a really high positive situation. So everyone was thinking now we are on a bull market coming, all things back is a thing, but I think it's not the thing why the market dumped down. I think the only reason why the market dumped down was because of the situation that the exchanges might sell their cryptos or disable their cryptos, right? So I think this is a really, really important thing. So yeah, that's to all the newses. And I think very, very important is to not get nervous on all that. I mean, it's still a big hit, and I think more regulation is super good. But I still think it is very, very difficult difficult to analyze. But in my thoughts is, just from the fundamentals, I'm more bullish on ETH and BTC, and I'm super bearish on ALTS and BNB especially. And I still think that the regulation are a good thing, because with more regulation later, we have more profitable ways to make profit in this whole industry. But right now, it's like everyone wants to make profit. You're on a big tank of sharks who wants to rip off your money, and I think this is all times a really bad thing. That's why I think if regulations are coming, it's all times a good thing. So yeah, let's talk about the charts. If we look at the charts, if you're looking at our BTC way to the downside, we see it's still acting. We can still going lower, and as you see here as well, that was the time, right? Now we all know that we didn't saw this break, as I said that before, right? We didn't had this break to the upside and then move, but we already are on this line, the 28 bars, right? From this bottom here, from this bottom 28 bars to the side, was the latest top in the market. So we might see here the top with the next move to the downside. So another thing what we could see in the market, which proves us as well that we might see here this moves coming out and rolling out. If we're looking at the US dollar index, you see that we still acting on this trend line, and we still have the possibilities. As I said here in this line on my latest YouTube video, you saw that I said that we could come here into this place and then moving higher. So yeah, I still think that the US dollar have potential to the upside, but obviously it will be a very difficult way because of the next week. If we're looking at the S&P 500, crazy what we see here. We have a big up gap, right? I still wanted to see this touch of this gap at 4,400. I want to see the 4,400. That would be really, really nice, actually, if we could see it. But as well, we had this test here of this fair value gap with the perfect low. So with this one. And so we have here the perfect short, right? But if I wanted to short this, I had to push my stop loss above this fair value gap, because normally if the market is that close to that level, the market gonna take this out. So yeah, overall, we see the reaction, but I think next week will be very, very important to see. And it's normally that we see that in the normal market. So that we see on every end of interest rate cycles to the upside, we see a move to the upside as well in the market. So nothing special. If we're looking at BTC, right, you see BTC is going sideways after the crackdown, right? We had the perfect touch here where we could make a perfect short here. That was a nice possibility. I think I have to move everything. So yeah, overall, I still think that we have the possibility to break this double bottom here on the next move to the lower side. You see everything is pointing down. We touched everything what we wanted. The last short was here above. And I think the next bigger short is coming to this gap here. So the next breakdown will be here to the 22,000. And then it's pretty interesting to see what we have here. But I then think we might see a reaction to the upside on BTC. If we're looking on ETH, same situation. We are here in the sideways market, have the double bottom here. And we are still on this anchored VWAP from the all-time high, and you see it's all times acting perfectly. If we get the close below it, we have the possibility then to go lower to next targeting this 1,600 level here. And as well, I think one of my next targets in ETH. If we're looking at BNB, oh crazy, BNB, look at this, guys. We are on the lows of this year's. We have breaking down the January low, which is a sign to go even lower. And the next target, yeah, could be here, the 120, but it could be as well here. First, this fair value gap. So let me make here my fair value gap. Then I go into logarithmic scale. So we have the possibility to go into this fair value gap here, the next thing, and then even going lower into this fair value gaps, guys. So BNB has really bad things to the downside, and you see it was not pumping much in the whole bullish movement. It was not pumping a lot. So yeah, that will be interesting to see as well. BNB, I'm super bearish. Checking here ADA, you see this crazy trend, guys. Look at this beautiful trend in the past days. If we're looking as well on the day chart, you see we broke January low as well. January low was breaking as well. We got a new all-time low from the last year, so we broke last year low. Super crazy. And of course we see a little reaction, right? It's normal if we break this kind of big low here. Of course we see a little reaction. But this is crazy. If we're looking at the altcoins, you see all the altcoins was coming lower and lower. You see here VHR perfectly. You see VeChain. We've been talking about VeChain. We've been talking about shorting every altcoin actually, right? As well here, look at this one. We've been shorting since the breakout of this level here, and look how Matic was going to the downside. And a bigger look to Matic. Look at this, guys. Look, every coin broke the January low. This is crazy. This is crazy. So there's still some movement left here to this lows. But yeah, I still think that the market is just reacting here on this order block, weekly order block, but still have big potential to the downside. So yeah, overall, I still think the market is super bearish. If we have a quick look as well on Solana, let's do that as well. Solana is here. If we're checking Solana, Solana was moving lower as well. We still didn't broke the January low, but we broke this level here, and it looks like that there's a lot of potential to the downside, more to the downside. And I would be really careful with trying to long any altcoins right now. I would not even think about that. So yeah, be careful on trying to long any altcoins, guys. Really big thing. don't try to buy any altcoins at the moment. I still think that there's a lot of coming because there's just one thing: Crypto.com and Robinhood disabled some altcoins, right? So there will coming more and more. And if this is happening, then obviously we see a bigger dump in the altcoins. So yeah, I think that's from my side. I hope you like this analysis. Take care, and we're gonna hear us as well on this channel on Monday for daily newses about the market, because I will inform you whenever the market is doing a move. So, in this time, have a great day, and we're gonna hear us later again.